change.
I want to pull up this story here we have about Bill Maher. It's from the Daily Wire. Bill Maher rips old Twitter, mocks Trudeau, and gives a shout out to the Babylon Bee. And I was watching this clip from Bill Maher when he was talking about Elon Musk and the purchasing and everything. And it made me realize what's happening with the establishment, what's happening with, Elon. The boomer generation, they consume their news through cable television. This is why there are so many people who are like, Tucker Carlson's far right, because these are older people who are only getting their news from CNN and MSNBC. And then Fox News is like the other side. So there's like 3 channels. But most of us and the people our age are on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube. So we're getting a big spattering of all this different news, but it's coming really quickly. I saw this and Bill Maher, his confusion like a doddering old man. And I was just like, wow. I think it's fair to say one day we will all be old and confused. But Bill Maher, he doesn't need to be. So watching this, here's what happens. Bill Maher says, did you hear about this Babylon Bee? It's Christian satire. Everybody laughs. And then his guest goes, oh, yeah, because we need that. And Bill goes, well, maybe some people do. I'm not everybody. Some people do need it. And then I'm watching that and I'm like, Bill, did you not Google search this story when it happened? Are you just now finding out after Elon already bought Twitter what the Babylon Bee is? And I wondered why it is. Well, CNN won't report on what the Babylon Bee is.
No.
So for someone like Bill Maher, who's a 60-year-old boomer, who gets his news from the New York Times physical paper edition and from cable television, he just now found out about the Babylon Bee. It was March 20th. Elon was like, should we have free speech and stuff like that? That he was asking these questions, that the Babylon Bee was in the news. And we were all watching in real time this progress of Elon Musk and Bill Maher, one of the most prominent shows. He's confused and just now finding out about this.
Isn't a show called Real Time?
Yeah,
he finds out like a month later.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Look, I'm not trying to rag on him. I think it's just, you got to point out that he's in a different world.
Who's his boss?
Yeah. Well, look, he's in a different world. And now think about what that means for every other news story. Think about what that means for Hunter Biden's laptop. Think about what that means for Epstein. All of these boomers, they vote. And they're like, they mostly vote. They're like, they vote way more than young people. And they don't know half of what we know. They don't know a tenth of what we know. Because we all saw the Epstein story in real time. And Bill Maher probably never saw it. I mean, I'm being hyperbolic, but Bill Maher probably sees it a month later and he's like, what's going on with this? And it's like, Bill, that was a month ago.
Yeah, it seems like it's like a safety mechanism to wait to let the news out a month later, like the Hunter Biden laptop thing. They wanted to just hold it for a month. Granted, it was right before the election.
Well, it was the election. Yeah. That was how to.
But once it's a month late, it just doesn't have the fire. It doesn't have the heat. Like the iron's no longer hot.
Bill Maher has called out the woke. He's criticized this stuff. The fact that he's done that, I think, shows he's willing to. But he's like an old man who's looking at his phone being like, I can't press the button. And it's like, he's just not on these platforms.
He works for Warner Brothers.
Yeah. He even said, I've heard him say this, like, there's only so much I can really get away with. I have corporate, my giant corporation writes my check.
Sure. But if he's talking about the Babylon Bee now, he could have talked about the Babylon Bee a month ago when the story broke.
Was he talking about the Rachel Levine thing? Like, and them getting banned?
He's talking about how Babylon Bee made a satirical video about Twitter employees freaking out, and it's actually really funny. The Twitter health expert, he's got a Rorschach test. I'm like, what do you see? And she's like, Nazis, Hitler, Nazis. That one looks like lips.
I hope people don't think that guy works for Twitter too.
But it's really funny because the bit was really good. He's like, tell me, do you see Elon here now? And she's like, she looks at a tennis ball. It's got Elon's face. She looks at like an employee pamphlet on the wall, and it's Elon on it. It was actually really funny. But Bill Maher was mentioning that Twitter flagged it as sensitive content. And he was like, it's a satirical video mocking you for being too sensitive. And you flagged it as sensitive material. Look, that's fine. He's speaking up. He's calling it out. But why a month late? The point is, I think Bill's a good dude. I think, to a certain extent, he's trying. But if the boomer generation isn't paying attention, because we had Richie McGinnis and his mom on, and Richie's mom, also a boomer, didn't know about what was going on with today's politics. The boomer generation is like, I think they're just totally different realities.
Maher's
for the most part.
He's incentivized to not dig too deep. Like his original show, what was it?
Politically Incorrect.
Politically Incorrect
That's
got
right.
canceled. He went hard on 9/11, and like if he did that today, if he came out and was like, "Let's talk about the deep state and the military-industrial complex," they'd be like, "Yeah." Warner Brothers would be like, "This is a little too racy."
Yeah. Although I think Real Time really is just that show renamed, but just a little.
That's what it
little
felt like.
You guys-
softer.
You remember when Dennis Prager was on Bill Maher?
Yeah.
I think it was like 2017, and he was like, "The left is lying. They're lying," and he's like, "A man cannot menstruate. They're lying," and then everyone laughs.
Yeah, everybody like
And
humiliating
then
him.
Bill Maher goes, wait, what are you talking about? and Prager mentions that at university bathrooms, they were putting tampons in the men's room. And Bill says, that's for men to bring to their girlfriends. That one really frustrated me because the story was actually at that point like 7 years old about bathrooms with men's rooms with tampons. But this is exactly what I think we see. I'm not trying to say that every single boomer or anything like that. I'm saying on average, if you look at the average age of a cable TV news viewer, it's 62 to 69 or whatever. They're consuming all their news from the likes of Don Lemon. Yo, that's not going to work out well for us.
Yeah. Also, with Bill Maher's response that they're just putting them in there so guys can get tampons for their girlfriends, or their girlfriend could just go to the girl's bathroom right next to it. That makes no sense as an explanation. That's like the most ridiculous, I don't want to believe what I'm being told answer I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's a crazy explanation.
I think Dennis could have been more prepared, but sometimes you're in these moments and you make a point and you're not prepared to back it up. So when they were like, what are you talking about? I said, just look it up. It's like, I could tell you, it's a September 2016, the Daily Beast wrote up that we have to do it. Look that up specifically. Side note, the Daily Beast is now listed as fake news
That's right.
by NewsGuard.
I love it.
Look at that.
All their
Love to
smear
see it
pieces are
happen.
garbage.
I get this dynamic with comedians sometimes where they'll be like, they'll say something stupid or irrelevant, and then if you start to make fun of them, they're like, "Come on, it was a joke, you moron." But then if you say something stupid or irrelevant, they're like, "You stupid idiot."
Yeah, they're like, I know exactly what you mean. Where they go like, I was just a goof.
You know
Yeah.
what is dangerous for post-liberal, whatever this freedom faction is. I don't know. They say left and right, and I'm like, I don't even know that it doesn't explain anything to anybody. But the side that believes in freedom, what's dangerous is that we see the CNN news stories about the insurrection and MSNBC and Rachel Maddow, and we all laugh like that's so dumb, no one cares. And then you look at their ratings, and you're like, CNN and MSNBC get like 400 million combined views on YouTube every month, and we get, I think, 60. So, I mean, we're doing well. But it's mostly young people. These older people are going to vote, and they're going to vote based on some weird insurrection narrative.
Other than voting, the people that watch this show for the most part are listening to what we're saying, the words, very word by word. It's all like registering and they're remembering. When you have these other shows that get propped up, it's like in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
Not necessarily every time, but it seems to be.
And this is also for a lot of, I think your listeners this is just a piece to an overall puzzle. They take this piece of information, they take pieces of information from other places, whereas someone on CNN, they're just like, I watch CNN, they give me my opinions, and those are my opinions. And, maybe I watch MSNBC, but like for the most part, they're not kind of like going and sourcing it from.
Well, this is one of the things that Richie's mom was bringing up. She was saying that there used to only be like 3 networks, and you trusted them, and they said things in a very kind of reassuring way, and you felt confident in what they were telling you. And I think a lot of that has carried over for boomers, which has turned into a huge problem because they can just now tell them whatever they want to, and they'll just believe it. Like, it's a little unsettling.
I was talking to my mom about some awesome stuff about this, like just cool, like let's talk about conspiracy. She was like, "Ian, man, if I was 20, I'd be okay. I'd be into it." But
Yeah.
it's just I'm done. I'm ready to.
I finally got my mom to go on Twitter. Actually, I convinced her.
Why would you do that to her?
Right.
Well, because I kept saying, because she's like, the classic. Do you get the emails from like, you ever get? My mom just sends me emails of these articles.
Oh,
Of, like, she goes,
Yes,
this,
I
this
know
is,
what you're talking
about.
about.
This is interesting. And I was like, yeah, I read this on Twitter like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
This is, but that's new to her because that's like the delay on the cycle.
That's what Bill Maher's doing.
Kind of is. And I go, you need to go on Twitter and you can, cut out this delay and get the news kind of at the source.
Far superior way to get the news.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Let me give a shout out to Michael Malice here. He's got this tweet. He says, the Ministry of Truth demonstrates the growing inability of the cathedral to persuade and an increasing need to just explicitly tell people what to believe.
Yep.
People have gone from arguing to either ignoring or presuming, not incorrectly, that it's all disingenuous propaganda at best. We're at the point now where I think on both sides, people are just absolutely unwilling to hear what the other point is being made at all. And my view of what is colloquially referred to as the right, which is this large faction of mostly like some kind of libertarian, is that they want proof. They want sources. Back up your source. Back up your claim. Not all of them. There's a group of Trump supporters who believe absolutely insane things. And you can see them out there at the rallies with Trump's going to be president on this day or whatever, and it never happens.
But next time it will.
But sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's the exception, not the rule. On the left, it's the inverse. The average person on the left believes every single fake story. I'm really interested. We've got some lefties coming on the show soon that we're booking. And I think it's going to be really interesting for me to be like, hey, Trayvon Martin's story, Zimmerman. Did you believe that? You did? Okay, well, NBC edited the audio to make Zimmerman seem racist and he's Hispanic. How about Covington kids? Did you believe that? Well, we learned that was fake news. Justice Smollett, all these people came out and supported him. That was fake news. Russiagate, fake news. Ukrainegate, fake news. How many? Ghost of Kiev.
Yeah, isn't that back?
Fake news.
Are they doing that again? The Ghost of Kiev?
I think they just admitted it was fake finally,
They admitted
right?
it was fake.
Yeah.
So my point is,
Now that the Ministry of Truth is out and about, they're like, oh, we got to play it close here. Yeah.
this is the only thing I can surmise. When the Washington Post says, or the Media Matters smears the whole show for something like, Seamus says,
My opinion.
as right wing or far right or grifting, I'm like, I guess the only thing that defines what it is to be left or right is, do you fall for bullish or do you wait for evidence?
Yeah, Thomas Massey pointed out that Congress basically split between the logical people and the emotional people, and a lot of them are leading with emotion, but either extreme is dangerous. Like too much emotion, you don't care about the facts. It's just you get and then too much logic, you don't care about how people feel. You might end up, experimenting on human bodies to get so you got to.
That's what, so right. We've seen societies that are only driven by logic and they put people's arms into sub-zero temperatures to watch them freeze while still attached to their bodies. You know what I want to give a shout out though to all of the media outlets that were trying to smear me for defending Kyle Rittenhouse. Prove my point. I was right.
Yeah.
It wasn't about being conservative or liberal. It was like, hey, I watched a video and here's what really happened. Kyle was defending himself. Then they all come out and they scream the far right because they're lying nonstop. Then it turns out to be correct. So I'm really fascinated. This is what the left and the right is. Name a left-wing political position, irrelevant. I can sit here all day and we can talk about taxation and social policy or whatever. But the real question is, which stories did you fall for? Mm-hmm. If you don't fall for the lies, you're right wing.
Yeah, well, you're correct that their positions are irrelevant in many ways, and even they will acknowledge this. So on the one hand, whenever anyone points out that there's a problem with the far left, their response is, oh, why? Because we want free healthcare? Like, what does the far left even mean? And then someone like Tim comes out and says, hey, I'm actually in favor of free healthcare as well, but they still call you far right because you don't fall for the same stories they do.
That's the weirdest thing.
What
is right and left?
Yeah. What do you think of? So there's this disinformation governance board. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but what happens when the next president is Trump or DeSantis, and he goes, "Okay, we have this disinformation governance board. She's out. My guy's in."
But
It's insanity.
No. I think if it's Trump or DeSantis, they might just dissolve it instantly.
Well, they might, but I'm just saying hypothetically.
Mitt Romney, if it was Mitt Romney somehow gets elected, then he's going to be like, it's time to put on a new guy who's going to talk about what's the real truth. If it's DeSantis or Trump, Trump's going to be like, I'm getting rid of it. It's wrong.
But imagine the hysterics if he goes, yeah, you guys, great idea, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Last administration, I love this idea. Here's my guy.
But that was true back when the establishment were playing a game of hot potato. When it was like John McCain versus Obama. And it was just shill establishment. Didn't matter who came into power. George W. Bush comes in with all these wars and Barack Obama's like, we're going to change it. Then gets in and is like, I'm going to kill kids instead. Mm-hmm. Then Barack Obama signs the indefinite detention provisions. Then Barack Obama increases the drone attacks. And you know that if a Republican like Mitt Romney were to win, it wouldn't matter. But then Trump won and he broke these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were sort of talking about that the other day, and I don't think that's an effective thing to say to left-wingers, unfortunately, because they know that while right-wingers could use that power to be authoritarian and suppress them, that they actually need that power in order to survive. Because in order for like left-wing orthodoxy to flourish, you basically have to scare people into pretending to believe something else, because no one's going to like voluntarily agree to the idea that children should change their genders, not in the number that people are giving assent to it now.
Well, this is the crazy thing, that two things occur. When I made a point on Twitter, I said, it's crazy that if you believe children shouldn't be getting sex change surgery, you're considered right wing. Two things happened. One, I got called a transphobe. And two, people were like, that's not happening. You're lying. The left isn't doing that. And the response to every single person who says that is someone showing a news story talking about medical intervention, chemical or surgical. And it's literally happening. So either you're a lying grifter who's pushing right-wing talking points, so you're right-wing, or you're a transphobe, so you're right-wing. And I'm like, dude, okay, whatever, I guess.
Right. The quintessential left-wing position. That's not happening, but it's good that it's happening.
exactly.
You're bad for opposing it.
I don't think it's transphobic to care about, to protect children from, gender surgery, sexual surgeries at that point. Being transphobic is like meeting someone that's an adult person that's trans and being like, I don't want to be anywhere near that person, or I'm going to talk crap about them.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.